Hi, everyone. Is anyone on the other side? Let's see. Hi, everyone. I'm Commissioner Nigro. We're going to begin promptly at 6:30. We have to wait for some more commissioners, but we can certainly begin with the police report. And just to remind everyone, this is being recorded. So if you want to speak to us and if you want to come on video, you will be removed if you say something improper, something like that, or do something improper, you will be removed from the meeting.
You doing any traveling during the holidays?
No,
Okay, I'll be around too.
holidays time's coming.
Mm-hmm.
There's Commissioner McCarty. So exciting.
Mm-hmm. Good evening.
Hi, Sergeant. Are you here for the police report? Sergeant?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. So we'll call on you, okay? We got you. We got you. Don't worry.
I'm just making sure.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, Stephen, let me make you a Hannah. I'm sorry. Hi, Director. We see you. Yes. Thank you for coming. All right, well, it's 6:30. I want to start on time. The other commissioners should be zooming. We just won't be able to vote on anything. But let's do oh, there's Sheena. Now we can go. Hey, Sheena.
Yeah.
All righty.
Hello.
Great, we can get started here. All right, everyone, I'm Commissioner Nigro. I'm chair of ANC 2G. Welcome to our November meeting. As I said previously, if you are welcome to talk to us, turn with your camera or whatever you want to be brought over. But if you do something improper, you will be removed from the meeting, not be let in. And this meeting is being recorded. Okay, so we do have a quorum now. All right, I will do the roll call. 6001.
Present.
6002. Not here. 6003.
2G. We're 2G.
Oh,
Also, Commissioner Nigro, I don't see I see the recording. Never mind. But we're 2G.
I am tired. If you all know what I've been through for 602 days. All right, wait, let me start over. 2G01.
Present.
2G02. Not here yet. 2G03. Not here yet. 2G04. Commissioner McCarty is here. 2G05.
Here.
Sheena Berry's here. 06, it's me. I'm here. We have a quorum, and just for the recording, as of right now, we do not, at 6:31, we do not have Commissioner Padro and Commissioner Watkins. Okay. All right. So let's prove the agenda. Commissioner McCarty, I want to add something. Oh, there's Miss Watkins. You have arrived. Miss Watkins came at 6:32.
And Padre.
I'm here
Oh,
too.
okay. And Alex came at 6:32. Great.
I kept saying here, something's going
Oh, you
on.
do? Okay. Well, we got you.
Yeah, something's going on. So
We see you.
I'm on my phone because I just got in my house.
Okay. That's fine.
All right.
I'm not worried. Thank you for joining. Great.
Because I've got a computer problem and I'm trying to get back on the desktop.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all good, folks. All right, so here's the agenda. I would like to add one thing towards the end, and that would be discussion about a third legal action with the central cell block at 501 New York Avenue concerning a potential appeal. And that'd be at the end. Okay, is that good for everyone?
Yeah, that's fine.
I
Okay.
move to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of discussion on appeal of the 501 New York Avenue zoning case.
Okay,
Second,
do I have a second?
second.
Tony seconds, all in favor?
I
Aye.
Ms. Watkins?
I have a
Great.
question
Yes.
before we move forward. Maybe this is for later on, but has anybody been following the vacant property legislation that's been presented by Ward 1?
No, and why don't we talk about that later, Ms. Watkins? Are you talking
Okay,
about
I didn't know
the
whether
commission?
yeah,
You're talking about
I just thought maybe this was something that we could think about it. All right,
So-
okay,
Are you talking about the commissioner emails?
yes.
Okay, do you want to talk about that later?
No, yeah,
Okay.
no,
No, yeah,
that's
okay,
fine, okay.
all right. Okay, Commissioner McCarty, you want to take that down?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, super, thanks, everyone. And first, we're gonna have the police, so we have the sergeant. So Sergeant, you have never zoomed in with us before, welcome. Go ahead, Sergeant, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. My lieutenant, she's out, so I'm sitting in for her.
And where, you're from,
I'm from 3D.
in 308 or 307?
307. I'm the 307 sergeant.
Okay, great. So if you want to provide us a high level update, and then the commissioners will ask questions, and then we open it up to the audience.
Well, my first thing is, I know recently at 7th and 8th and O, we did have a shooting earlier, a few days ago. So that's kind of ongoing. I normally have my office sitting at 7th and O Street, just to kind of keep an eye open on what's going on over there by the Kennedy Rec Center and around where the Giant is. I was told that we are having problems at 12th and M in reference to some prostitution issues. Is that correct? Is anybody aware of that?
Commissioner McCarty, are you aware of that?
That is correct, but that's outside of ANC 2G.
Okay.
But what we've heard is that they migrate over
Over there.
in the early morning, yes, towards
Yes.
10th Street.
Okay. So what I can do with that is we do have a prostitution unit. Well, now it's human trafficking. So I can make a phone call over there to see if we can get some UCs to come over there and kind of do some work and just kind of stand by and just get a visual. See if we can get some names, get some people stopped, and kind of where they're coming from. If they're coming from within the city, just different parts of the city, or if they're out of towners, so we can kind of ID them and just figure out what's going on. You know, where is it stemming from? And just to figure out what we need to do to make sure that you guys feel a little safer and that they're not causing any major issues. That's the issue by itself because they're over there doing it. But we just want to make sure that you guys feel safe in general and just kind of stop it from happening. What areas around 307 is concerning you guys so that I can take note of it and just make sure I put my manpower where they need to be.
Commissioner McCarty, why don't you start, since that's more your.
Yeah, thank you, Sergeant Stevens. I have a couple of concerns that I've already elevated to 307, but unfortunately, I didn't receive a very adequate or helpful response.
Okay.
Two things. One is the 1200 block of 10th Street Northwest and 900 block of N Street Northwest. They have had an increase in porch pirates and package thefts. We have lots of video, photo evidence. I actually forwarded that along. We even have timeframes. I mean, I've been told it happens between 4 and 7 p.m. You know, and I asked for more foot patrol and was kind of brushed off. But you know, we have a lot of information on when this is happening, where it's happening, who is doing it. And I really would love to have at least a crime suppression unit or some foot patrol in the neighborhood when these package thefts are taking place. And I'd be happy to forward you the constituent emails, especially because they, like I said, we've got mounds of evidence. We know who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and when they're doing it. So we really just need MPD to step up and help us quash this quickly.
Okay, well, that'd be great with that because, like I said, I'm just starting for 307, and I can definitely make sure that I get some officers within those time frames, kind of, you know, park their cars and kind of walk on foot and make sure that they're seen.
Thank you.
And I will check in with you maybe like once or twice a week just to kind of see if there have been any positive, you know, updates in reference to that. I'm not sure. I would just have to look it up in the system, seeing what reports were taken, what their case numbers are, who our complainants are, to see if I can get their footage as well and pass it along to our detectives so see we can start naming these people. And that's, you know, that's doing it because I know it's irritating when you purchasing something and it gets placed on your porch or in your mailbox and somebody's snatching. So I'll definitely do that. Like I have roll call tomorrow, so I'll make sure that I put somebody in those areas and I'll also email you who they are so that at least you know, like, hey, they're going to be in this area between 4 and 7 and maybe a little bit before so that you
Thank
know
you, Sergeant
that
Stevens.
this is what I'm doing. So I'll make sure that you get this information. What other concerns that you guys may have?
So we have our new commander on the other side. I didn't see that till now.
Yes.
Did it feel, yeah, we
Commander
need to bring,
Podium.
can we bring you over, Commander? Yes, we can.
I'll bring him
You can
over. I did have one other concern that's been raised. It was brought to my attention. I'm not sure if this was last Tuesday, November 5th, or Wednesday, November 6th. But folks, when I was chatting with some constituents, mentioned that someone was mugged on the 900 block of M Street Northwest. M as in Mary. I don't have a CCN or anything, but I do want to make sure I follow up on that with you all to see if you have anything you can pull up and share with us now. But also, we have expressed lighting concerns in the 900 block of M. And so if there's anything that you all could help with that, seeing that unfortunately, you know, we have had a mugging, and I want to make sure that we address that fully.
Okay, now do we know if anything was taken from that person or anything?
I was told they took their personal belongings, but I don't have a CCN or anything. I just know it was likely on November 5th or November 6th in the 900 block of M Street Northwest.
Okay, that's fine. I can look it up in our system and see what I can find and see if I can find a complaint and what was taken and a lookout and just kind of put something together. But I'll also put a unit within that block as well to walk around on foot to make sure that they're seen and just to see if there are any cameras in the area, you know, on businesses or any homes or anything to kind of help us out in the area a little bit more.
Thank you,
So
Sergeant
I can
Stevens.
do that as well. So yeah, just let me know what issues you guys are having outside of the 1200 block of 10th Street, 900 block of N, and the 900 block of M Street. So I can make sure that I address it with the officers and kind of have somebody in that area when I do my roll call.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I would like to, you know, I am very pleased that you answered Commissioner McCarty's request about possible foot patrol because I've been begging for a foot patrol for 10 years. So if I see you, Commander. So if anything can be done to have a foot patrol, not only in my single member district, but throughout the ANC, because it is the most fantastic piece of public relations that the police could have.
Right.
And when we did have one, he was great. And then we haven't really had one since. And I know I'm always told, Commissioner Nigro, we've got people in the cars, well, they don't get out of their cars. So there's the reality check. So a foot patrol would be fantastic.
Yep, a little bit more helpful, a little bit more seen more often than just being in a car, just driving around. So I get it.
But you know what doesn't happen? They don't get out of the car.
If we can identify like a peak or critical time, we can make an assignment. We can make sure we have somebody, generally the same person, out on foot in the neighborhoods. Unfortunately, our staffing currently does not permit us to deploy foot beats all over 3D like we should.
Right.
We just don't have the personnel for it right now.
And I have one last question. Whatever happened to, I requested at one, this is before you came, Commander, the community patrol, I can't remember the exact title.
The old community focused patrol unit,
Yeah. Where are they?
they are no longer with us.
I put in that, but that was like, did they have special cars and stuff too?
They were, there are some cars that still say CFPU on them, but they are no longer used by the CFPU. We've reutilized them for other resources. They did a lot of actually work with us in 3D when I was at the field commander's office, but usually up on U Street during those peak activity hours. But unfortunately, they were a sacrificial lamb to the shortness of personnel on the agency, and they've been folded back into normal operations.
Did that end recently? Are we talking about the
No,
same thing? We might
it's-
not be talking about the same thing then. I don't know.
they had
I'll find
their
the
own
email.
they had their own cars. Now we do have some new things such as the oh, I don't want to call it the wrong thing. We
It's
have
the name. Yeah, there's some name I can't remember.
some safety support specialists or something like that, or
I'll tell you what, I don't waste time. I'll find the email and send it to you, but I had put it in a request for whatever this thing is called.
community
Okay.
safety ambassadors.
That's it.
There we go. Those we do have. And if you want to forward me that email, I can put the request in to see if we can't get some of those out there.
Okay.
And I just do have one question for Commissioner McCarty. The lighting in the 900 block of M Street, do you know if it's existing lighting that's insufficient or there's just no lighting there that's yet?
Oof. I wish I could walk out there right now. I'm in Tampa, the National League of Cities. I
don't
will
feel
be
like that
home
was a
tomorrow.
genuine, I wish you could walk out there right now. I'll drive through there tonight and take a check. Take a look at it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, Commissioner Barry.
Yes, hi. Thank you both for being here. I had a question about the armed robbery that happened at 7th and N at 11 p.m., like shortly before the 43 shots were fired. Do you know if they're related? Do you know if those incidents are related or not?
We don't believe they're related.
Okay. And I'm sure could you tell us about the 43 shots that were fired? I know you found shell casings. I know vehicles were damaged.
We did have shell casings. We did have vehicles damaged. We do have some video of individuals who are involved in this. We're trying to backtrack the video to see exactly where they came from and where they went afterwards. At this point, we don't have a lot of intelligence as to who they may be or who the intended target may have been. But we are actively chasing that down.
Okay. From speaking to people in the neighborhood, I was informed that this might possibly be like turf wars between 7th and, the crews on the street or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what their names are and stuff. But like when you trace these shell casings, do you ever like trace them back to a weapon that you have or a certain?
Yeah, so we work with the ATF and we get what they're called NIBIN. We get NIBIN reports basically every night where when they analyze the shell casings, they flag them as potential hits as other incidents they've been involved in. And usually they culminate when we ultimately get that gun on an arrest. We usually have somebody with it. But yes, those cases are all linked. We do have a database that's tracking all the places the shell casings end up from different firearms.
Okay. And I guess that's it. I mean, no one was injured, thank God, but property was damaged. Have those residents been, made whole, like at least with given a police report? Like, do you know any updates?
I believe we've had contact with everyone who has had property damage. I think we have like 7 or 8 different complaints, including the businesses and things like that were damaged on the police report.
Okay. Just really concerned and seeing what we could do to try to get some type of resolution. Especially if we have 43 shell casings, if we could track that back to someone or see a pattern, especially if it's a crew war, maybe it's been involved in another situation. Okay.
So prior to taking over this, I ran overnight operations for the agency, and I will tell you for like the last 3 years, the number of scenes I've been on where we've had 30 or more shell casings has increased drastically. You know, and we never used to see more than 8 or 10 or 12 or maybe 20 if there was 2 guns. Now we routinely encountering 50, 60, 70 shell casings on these scenes, and it is absolutely concerning for us. You know, we
Right.
do extended magazines are already illegal in DC,
Mhm.
but we have seen an influx of them and these things they're called giggle switches that they make Glocks or Glock type weapons into automatic weapons that are relatively easy to get a hold of. It has been definitely been a dangerous combination for us.
Okay. Thank you for answering my questions.
Commissioner Padro? Did you have a question, Commissioner Padro? Alex?
Well, actually, I think Commissioner Berry's question and the response from the commander, answered most of it. But it's very concerning to our constituents when there are shooting incidents where there, well, thankfully, is not loss of life or personal injury, but nonetheless, our constituents are rattled
Absolutely.
by the large number of shots going through, and sometimes going through their windows, their residential windows. There were bullets that went through excuse me, apartment windows on the O Street side of the City Market, as well as the shattered window at the Giant. So,
which was open. Yeah.
So, I guess my remaining question is, how do we and commission and constituents, get additional information, as the investigation is continuing for these incidents where there was not anyone injured or loss of life occurred, because the usual places where you find information about these cases don't seem to have any recognition of the fact that a gunfire incident happened if someone wasn't hit.
So yeah, there is a report for it. It is investigated largely the same way. And in the event, we end up linking these cases either through an arrest or intelligence, or tips from the community. We did put out bolos based on the stills we were able to obtain from the video. We will publicly put that out. But also, if there's an update in this case, I can update you guys.
Well, we'd appreciate it so we can share it with our constituents who are obviously very concerned.
Rightfully, they should be. Yeah, it's absolutely concerning. The fact that nobody was hit here is but for luck, and we don't like to rely on luck.
Yeah, so I actually spoke with the owner of Convivial Restaurant there at 8th and O, and he was actually in his restaurant, and he saw the target run through his patio. So I know there has to have been footage, at least from that restaurant. So he has not been contacted. He had not been contacted for his footage when I spoke. So, thanks.
Let me take a moment and note that.
I'm sorry, and you said that restaurant is at 8th and O Street?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
What was the name of that restaurant, Commissioner, if you don't mind?
Convivial.
Thank you.
Tony?
Yes, we had a robbery, I think it was mid-afternoon on November 2nd in the 600 block of S Street. Is there any closure on that or any developments?
Robbery in the 600 block of S Street on November
2nd.
2nd. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna have to jog my memory on this one.
There was a email put out, a text message put out.
Let me dig a little bit on that, and I will come back to you in just a moment.
Okay. All right, appreciate it.
I don't want to
Thank
hold
you.
everybody up while I look.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna open up to the community. We do have one question in the chat from Mr. Kleinman that says, while I'm here, could you ask about the drug-free zone around his block, which is the 600 block of 6th and S Street? We're doing better with open drug use in my alley than we were a year ago, but that's still a work in progress.
Yep, so absolutely. We just wrapped the week before last, we had the multi-agency task force come through. We did a bunch of cleaning, distribution. We've gotten some new signs up highlighting the drug-free zone around Cleveland Elementary. This weekend just passed, we had a drug-free zone up. I believe we made 5 arrests, including 2 for illegal firearms. Through there, since that ended, we've made another arrest for illegal firearm right there in the 1800 block of 7th Street. So that is definitely an ongoing challenge for us, but it is somewhere where we're going to continue to focus our energy.
Okay, and then there's something from Miss Russell. Thank you for your attention to the violence happening at 7th and O Street with the additional patrols that have been posted up there. Can you speak to what is causing the violence? I think you've already addressed that on the specific block and why it has been ongoing for so long. Well,
As far as the
That's-
historical roots, I can't give you a solid answer there. It has clearly been an issue for years. That much I have gotten from the constituents when we came in here, and I guess it's just been kind of that 600 block of 700 block of T Street has been largely, I guess, kind of out of sight, out of mind. In our last meetings, we met with a lot of the business owners there who are fed up and I don't think felt that they had been heard. So we've been turning up the attention there and throughout, and it's not just drugs there. Again, we're recovering a significant amount of firearms from this area as well. I'm not sure where that has come from. It's unusual in my 20 years to see such like a well-traveled area. Usually this kind of activity we see off on side streets and like outside of the main thoroughfares. It is certainly unusual to see this level of activity on 7th Street, a street like 7th Street, where significant traffic comes through every day.
Okay, anyone else from the community would like to speak with the sergeant or with the commander? Raise your virtual hand or press *9 if anyone knows if we have anyone on the phone or not. Hi, Howard.
And unmute yourself.
Sorry, I'm at a restaurant, so it may be a little buffered, but I did want to thank 3B for the present event card giving on 7th and T, and also Wilburg and T, but I would ask for a little bit more consistency. I am noticing that there are a lot of new faces, younger faces, and I specifically live at the Shaw Apartments, and I'm noticing a lot of traffic even going in and out of my building, and it's getting concerning. I found some people in stairwells even recently that shouldn't be in the stairwells who do not live in the building. And a lot of this traffic is happening in the morning time, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, as people are going in and out of work, and it's open drug markets that are happening. So consistent presence is something that I would be grateful for, but it's getting concerning that this uptick of different faces are happening in the neighborhood. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Howard. I appreciate that. Anyone
Yeah,
else?
absolutely. And we would definitely be willing to work with your building management if they want to talk about some suggestions for access control and things like that. You can link them up with me. I'd be happy to speak with them about that.
If you need access control cameras, I can handle all of that for you. So,
well, access control is going to be on the building. We can't establish that, but we can certainly talk about kind of best practice with the building management.
Building management cameras, I can make that all happen.
Anyone else? No, I don't think so. All right, we would like to thank you very much for your time and welcome both of you.
I do have an update on the 600 block of S Street.
All right.
So we do not have a closure in that case yet.
Okay.
However, it is the complaint there traveled there. We believe that there was a pre-existing arrangement to buy or sell some sort of item there, that they took a bike and he let them ride a bike and followed him into an alley. So while we don't have any identified suspects, we don't think that this was a random occasion. We think they had prearranged to meet at that location for whatever reason, but the detectives are still digging in that, and I think they're still trying to pull additional video footage. But,
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you both. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to my foot patrol.
I will be on it.
Okay.
Take care.
We have to zoom in next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, So the mayor's office could not join us tonight, unfortunately. So next we're going to have Council Member Pinto, and Brian, I believe, is on the call. Hey, Brian.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Good to see you. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Well, I know a lot of us are worried about what the next 4 years are going to bring for DC, especially as residents in such close proximity to the White House and the Capitol, and while we're so impacted by federal policies. So just know that Councilmember Pinto and our office are going to continue to stand up for DC residents and for home rule. This is a big week. We've got the 50th anniversary of home rule here in DC, and we want to keep it and strengthen it, hopefully, and get to statehood. On a happier note, I want to congratulate all you who were reelected, and congratulate our 2 newly elected commissioners, Commissioners Brown and Watkins. I'm going to miss you very much, but I know you'll stay involved. As a reminder, the swearing in is going to take place on Thursday, January 2nd at the Convention Center. So lucky us, it's right here in the neighborhood. You'll receive more details at a later date from OANC, but again, Thursday, January 2nd. And usually it's in the morning, and they swear in the council members, I think, first, and then the council members swear in the ANCs and all the other office holders who may have been elected. So like shadow senator, shadow rep, everything that was on the ballot. The Judiciary and Public Safety Committee recently held a hearing on a few different bills. One would ban child marriage for anyone under the age of 18, which is currently not banned. Another aims to reduce the risk of suicide and would allow for residents to voluntarily put themselves on a do not sell list for firearms. It's based on Donna's Law, which has been in the news and has been passed by some of our neighboring states. And then the third is to ensure that any incarcerated women who are pregnant are able to have safe and supported pregnancies. So those are 3 of the bills that the committee just held hearings on. The third of this fall's oversight hearings on the Office of Unified Communications is going to be on December 4th, and will focus on technology and multi-agency coordination. So we're continuing our oversight in efforts to improve OUC and 911. On December 10th, there's going to be a hearing on the Secure Apartments for Everyone Regulation Amendment Act. This bill is going to mandate on-site security assessments by the Department of Buildings for any property that meets certain security thresholds, and also requires the Department of Buildings to issue a security report detailing what safety measures should be taken. It would expand the scope of the Nuisance Abatement Act to include crimes of violence, and also require all rental properties with 5 or more units to maintain self-closing and self-locking exterior doors. So I know some of the issues you were just talking about, this might have an impact on that. It is a little complicated. So again, urge you to follow that bill, the Secure Apartments for Everyone Regulation Amendment Act. I'll put a link in the chat so you can read more about that. The next oversight hearing for the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement is going to be on December 11th. So also continuing our oversight of that office. The council also recently passed an emergency bill to provide reasonable limitations around the use of sound amplification devices in residential communities that protect the tranquility of residents in their homes and neighborhoods. As the nation's capital, we have to champion our First Amendment right to protest, of course, and we want everyone's voices to be heard. But the DC government also has a responsibility to protect residents in their homes so that they have the right to tranquility and privacy. The bill prohibits amplification devices when targeting a residence for a demonstration in a residential zone between 7 p.m. and 9 a.m., which is a change from the current 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. It also prohibits throwing projectiles at residences when intended to cause fear, intimidate, or retaliate against residents. This does not apply to areas not zoned residential. So for example, you can still protest with amplifiers between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. at the White House, as that's not zoned residential. You can also still protest in residential areas using amplifiers from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. or without amplifiers in the earlier or later hours. I know not all of 2G is zoned residential, for example, so know that Councilmember Pinto is going to continue working with her colleagues on permanent changes to our noise ordinances. And I've talked about the amplified sound bill and the harmonious living bill before. So those are both still in the works, but just not moving as quickly as we needed to for some of the issues we're seeing around the district. And there are a lot of changes that are still needed for noise issues. Today, the Committee of the Whole held a hearing on the redevelopment of Capital One Arena and the monumental sports lease that's going to keep the teams in DC until at least 2050. We expect that council will vote to approve the agreement before the end of this year. I'm going to post a link in the chat to view the full bill, which is 247 pages. This is critical to our work to revitalize and reimagine downtown. And we are really excited about the commitments to improving not just the arena, but the entire surrounding neighborhood. Councilmember Pinto helped secure funding for a new Center City Middle School that we're expecting to open at the site of the old Banneker High School on Euclid Street and Georgia Avenue. So that's why I put Center City in quotes, because I think some of us feel like it should be further down. But anyway, that is the location that DCPS is going with for now. It's going to be a feeder school for Cleveland, Garrison, and Seton elementary schools. So obviously that's big news for the Seton families that might be here in 2G. DCPS has a survey that's live now until November 22nd. So not too far away. So I'm going to post a link in the chat so anyone can take part in that survey. A few more updates. Leaf collection is moving along and is now in section 2B. So a reminder that you were all 2A, which means that you have a pretty long way to go before they're back to 2A again, unfortunately. So if you notice a clogged drain now that we're getting rain, please call DC Water's Command Center. I've got the number listed there, and I'll post that again in the chat. Monday was Veterans Day, so as a reminder, trash and recycling will continue to slide one day for the rest of the week. And then finally, there have been a number of hate crime or hate motivated attacks in Ward 2 in recent weeks, which is completely unacceptable and quite frankly scary. There was one arrest made last week in one of the cases for an incident at the McDonald's at 14th and U, and they're still searching for additional suspects in that case. Councilmember Pinto has been working with our community partners, with MPD, with our prosecutors to find the perpetrators, to try to prevent any possible future threats, and to make clear that violence has no place in our city. And over the coming months and years, we just have to look out for each other and try to uphold our DC values. But obviously not something that we want to be seeing. I think that is all for me. Sorry to end on such a sad note. And I will take any questions or comments.
So I have so that new noise legislation is that's just temporary, right, for now?
Yeah, so it's passed on an emergency and temporary basis. So I think emergency is 90 days and then temporary is like 250 days. So it passed on both of those, but yeah, it will need to be tweaked before it becomes permanent.
So, but from what I read, the First Amendment folk are coming for it.
Yeah, they're definitely, I mean, there's concerns as there should be, like we're always happy to have people kick the tires off of the legislation. So definitely, yeah, will be some changes probably with the final bills.
And to clarify for everyone on the call, because I did get many questions about this because they thought, well, if anyone comes to demonstrate around the jail at 501 New York Avenue, that this would help. No, the jail is not a residence. The jail is a jail. So it is irrelevant for the jail at 501 New York Avenue. Okay. Anyone else have questions for Brian on the commissions? Oh, Commissioner McCarty.
Hi, Brian. Just a quick question. I wanted to ask if Councilmember Pinto could commit to carrying forward the will of 75% of Ward 2 voters in working with her fellow council members to implement Initiative 83.
Sure. Well, I don't have any news to break on that front, but yes, I'll definitely pass that along to her. She has been a big supporter of ranked choice voting, as you may have seen in the past. So we shall see what the council does now.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything for Brian? Sheena? Oh, gotta unmute yourself.
Hi. Hi. So I read that ERAP was opening again on November 20th. Do you have any like updates? Is it going to be different? Because I know they closed it for a while, but I know a lot of residents were concerned about that.
Yes, there are definitely changes. Why don't I post in the chat? I don't want to misspeak on that since it's pretty important. But yes, that definitely opens again on November 20th at 12 p.m. But there are definitely some changes than in the past. Let's see. Well, I don't want to read. I'll just post it in the chat. It's too long to read.
Okay. Do you, like, off the top of your head, know like any of the changes that might affect? Yeah.
Like the definition of emergency situation changes. Now it's like defining that as an unforeseen or unusual event, such as the loss of a job or high medical costs that impacts the applicant's ability to pay rent that cannot be resolved without financial assistance. It removes the applicant's ability to establish eligibility with self-attestation. So the applicant now has to provide documentation to demonstrate that they're in arrears and need additional assistance. And there's like a list of required documents that they now need. So that's what I'll post that. But it does permit an applicant to use a self-attestation to explain the emergency situation. So you wouldn't need documentation for that part, I guess, which seems confusing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, okay, Ms. Watkins, go ahead.
How does this affect, the emergency situation affect the residents who were not paying or their rents, their fees during COVID, and got so behind in their rental fees? So how is it gonna affect them? Because a lot of them got really behind in their rental fees, and then ERAP didn't have enough money. So how will that affect them? Will they still be considered emergency?
I think that's what they're going to have to provide more proof for now. So I think this is kind of raising the bar on what proof they need to show that they need it. So yeah, definitely might make it a little bit trickier for some folks that have been, I don't know if they're just waiting or if they've had it already.
Is that all right, Ms. Watkins? You have another question or?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any other? We're open for the public.
Hmm.
Oh, go ahead, Tony.
Brian, I spoke with you briefly last week about the lot at 1744 7th Street. I made a little progress, but I might need some more assistance. We still have not gotten access to that lot to do a rat abatement. And that's right between the nursery and Lincoln Westmoreland and the Angel Liquor Store. So I'll talk to you later about that. Thank you for your help, though.
Okay, they couldn't get it. That back fence is pretty small.
Yeah, it's got a lock on it. You can't get in the property.
I'm gonna give them a step ladder.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Anyone from the audience have a question for Brian from Councilmember Pinto's office? Raise your virtual hand or press *9. Anyone? Going once, going twice. Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Okay, see you later. Let's see, is Solana on from, oh, there she is. From the convention center.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Solana Vandernat. I'm the Senior Manager of Community Engagement for the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. I'm happy to serve as a connection point between you and Events DC. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'll put my contact information in the chat. As a reminder, to learn more about Events DC, our programs, initiatives, and other opportunities, visit eventsdc.com. If you haven't already done so, please sign up for our electronic mailing list and follow us on our social media platforms. I'll put this information in the chat as well. Regarding the November event calendar, for the remainder of this month, we have 4 upcoming events at the Convention Center, 3 single day and 1 multi-days. 2 of the following events are today, November 14th through Tuesday, November 19th. The American College of Rheumatology annual meeting is being held at the Convention Center with an estimated attendance of 15,000. Then on Wednesday, November 27th, the 25th annual Safeway Feast of Sharing will be with us with an estimated attendance of 3,000. Regarding this upcoming event, Safeway's Feast of Sharing is one of the district's most meaningful Thanksgiving traditions, created to serve a complete seated turkey dinner to thousands of our city's residents in need, many of whom are unlikely to have one otherwise. Beyond a holiday meal, the event offers a health and community services expo, a clothing giveaway, and more. Volunteer registration is still open. Please feel free to sign up. I'll include that link in the chat as well. We are also excited to launch Legends Game Nights, evenings of free fun this month for the Washington, D.C. Legacy community. Each night will feature activities including dancing, board and card games, arcade games, crafts, and fellowship. The remaining lineup is as follows. Tuesday, November 19th at the University of D.C. Student Center Ballroom, Thursday, November 21st at the Turkey Thicket Recreation. I'll include the registration link in the chat, and participants can also sign up in person at each venue or call 202-249-3400 between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And I'll include all this information in the chat as well. And finally, on Saturday, November 30th, we are excited to be a sponsor of City Center's 11th annual holiday tree lighting. Kick off the 2024 holiday season with us while enjoying a joyful musical performance by headliner Jordan Sparks. Face painting, balloon art, and holiday treats start at 5 p.m. in the park at City Center, followed by the official tree lighting program starting at 6. This event is free and open to all. No tickets are required. In case it rains on the 30th, the rain date will be December 1st. So thank you for letting me join this call. Please let me know if you have any questions.
I have a question, and thank you for zooming in. So I reached out to Teresa already about the Legends Night thing, and to have it, and whenever you guys do it again, to have it around here. But my question is, why didn't you have a location around here?
So what we have been doing is doing the different engagements depending what the event is. So for example, this one, it's in all 4 quadrants. So that's where the venues are based off of.
What do you mean? I don't
So
understand.
4 quadrants of the city. So, southwest, northeast, southeast.
Oh, well, I get that, but
Yep.
but you guys have the convention center. You guys could have had something in the convention center.
We do, but it's also booked with a lot of different
all right.
activities. So,
I'm just saying we got a lot of seniors around here.
yeah, absolutely.
Just saying. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Nope. Okay. Anyone from the audience have any questions for the convention center? Raise your hand. Nope. All right. Well, we thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the night.
Thanks for zooming in.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have any announcements besides me? I think it's only me. Well, let me do yours. Okay, here's my big announcement. Well, the commissioners are already, and if you follow me on social media, we did lose our BZA fight yesterday, but we go to the very end. This commission does. Yes, sirree. So the commissioners voted 5-0-0 against us. And if you literally watch what happened yesterday, and if you understand the story and how long it's been going on, it's actually kind of appalling to watch, because it almost sounded like they never visited the block. They're talking about balconies. It's crazy. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. But that said, more information to come later in the meeting. We're not done yet. So, and I want to thank publicly the commissioners here and members of the public who did assist with their support up to the 601 days. So we'll see what happens in the future. But thank you. Any other comments? Public announcements from the commissioners? Go ahead, Alex.
So in addition to the City Center tree lighting ceremony, there will be 2 other community events taking place on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. That's the 30th of November. From 12 to 3 as part of Small Business Saturday in Shaw. Shaw Main Streets will be distributing $5,000 in $20 increments. These are called Shaw Bucks that can be used to make purchases at neighborhood businesses, and they will be treated the same as cash. So they can be distributed in front of the Giant Food Store at 8th and O Streets. Again, that's starting at 12 while supplies last. And then from 3 to 6 p.m., City Market will be hosting the annual Shaw tree lighting ceremony. And the fun and games and free food for all the participants. And then at 6 o'clock, the tree at City Market. And those events are free of charge. And no tickets are required.
All right, Commissioner Barry, you had your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to say at the Kennedy Rec Center, they're having a Friendsgiving on November 20th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And you need to RSVP to attend. So they'll be having a dinner. If you want to go to DPR's website and RSVP so you can attend.
Yeah, it's a good event. I think that's the first time they've done that there, Alex, right? Like Alex went away, but I think so. All right, Commissioner McCarty.
Yep, thank you. I'll just make this brief. After all the fun on Saturday, November 30th, Sunday, December 1st, I'm hosting a community meeting for ANC 2G04. Of course, if you are in the neighborhood and anywhere in 2G, you're welcome to come. It'll be 1 to 3 p.m. at Lost and Found, right in 2G04, Blagden Alley. Just neighbors meeting neighbors, talking about the future of our neighborhood and how we want to keep building community. So Sunday, December 1st, 1 to 3 p.m. at Lost and Found community meeting.
All righty, sounds like a good time. And all are welcome, right? If I want to come to Lost and Found.
Yeah.
I'll just join you at the bar. Okay. Any announcements from the community that I would like to announce to the commissioners and to the community? Anyone raise your virtual hand? Nope. All righty, let's move on. Okay, this is very exciting for us that we have the ABCA director with us tonight. And Commissioner, I want to move him over. Oh, you know what, Commissioner McCarty? I forgot. You know what? Let's the U.S. Attorney just wants to talk for 2 minutes. I apologize. I'm sorry, Director. Give us a couple more minutes. I see you, Miss Davenport. I apologize. I forgot. In the community announcements. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon,
Hi.
everybody.
Hi.
My name is Latoya Davenport. I'm sorry, I'm a little congested. I am the 3rd District Community Outreach Specialist with the U.S. Attorney's Office. This is my first time attending this meeting, but I see Commissioner Nigro all the time at the 3AC. I just wanted to get on it. Oh, and I see Mr. Tony Brown also. I just want to get on and introduce myself and let you know if you have any questions or concerns, I'm here to assist. I will put my email and phone number in the chat. And also, if you want to receive our monthly court report, you could just send me an email and I will add you to my distribution list. Our court report includes paper arrested cases for the 3rd District monthly, which is very helpful for those who track cases. And it also gives you an opportunity to know what meetings and activities and programs that the U.S. Attorney's Office has going on monthly if you want to participate. Like our Hate Bias Task Force meeting in recognition of domestic violence awareness. We did something in January. We will be doing something for human trafficking. So it'll just keep you updated of all our programming. And I think we have Assistant U.S. Attorney Bonnie Linderman. She's the community prosecutor. If she could just introduce herself and we will be finished. We won't take up no more of your time. But we are here to assist.
Hello, greetings, welcome.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Bonnie Lindeman. Thank you, Ms. Davenport. I'm the community prosecutor for the 3rd District, which means I go to a couple community meetings every month to hear from the community about any trends that you all are seeing, to answer questions about the process and about our office. And obviously, Ms. Davenport helps me out with that a ton because she's been doing this for so long and knows so much about what's going on. So I'm here to introduce myself and to answer any questions and to just see everything that's going on in the community. Thank you, everyone.
So I have a question, and I think Ms. Davenport's going to know what it is. So I am still appalled, and I'll let the commissioners, maybe the commissioner, I can't remember, so many emails have gone back and forth about the potential jail, or the jail now, as we say, that I was not given Matt Graves' email to write a letter, or he could not meet with me for a very short time. And that is absolutely appalling. And I would like to know why.
So I think that would be a matter that's above my
But everyone
position.
says that. Everyone says that. I am an elected official and chair of the commission. Let's not go down the rabbit hole. All I want to know is I'll let the public know that I was not given his email, and everyone refused to set up a meeting, a very brief meeting. It is appalling. And no one seems to know how your agency is involved with the detainee transportation / release from the central cell block. No one will tell us the steps. And, you know, and that just kind of leads to further questions with the central cell block, and I'll leave it there.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the comment. Thank you.
Well, send it back. They only heard from me about a bazillion times about it. Okay, anyone else besides me? No. Anyone from the public real quick? Nope. Okay. Thank you, ladies, for zooming in.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we are honored tonight to have is it Director Musali? Am I saying it correct, Director?
Perfect, Chair. Absolutely
Okay.
perfect.
Great. Well, welcome. And I think it's been a very long time since you came before us. And so, but we have a lot of things to discuss with you, especially Commissioner McCarty. This is his official swim lane. But if you'd like to just take a moment to introduce yourself. And is Sarah on? Is Sarah on tonight? No, just you.
She's not, but she, as
Okay.
you know, she's an invaluable resource for the
Yes.
ANCs, and she wanted me to convey to you that continue to use her as much as you can. She's there to help you guys.
Absolutely. I'm a freaking flyer, Sarah. All right, Director, if you'd like to kind of introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your role in the agency before we begin with our questions.
Sure. My name is Fred Musali. I'm the Director of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration. Want to thank you, Chair, and the rest of the commissioners for having me. I think, as you noted, it's been a little while, and it's a pleasure to be before ANC2G today. Our agency is responsible for the regulation of licensed alcohol establishments. We're also, which I think some of the questions may be about today that I think I saw on your agenda and you had shared, recently took the responsibility of the medical cannabis program in terms of new licensees. Recent legislation passed by the council related to cannabis enforcement. And then there's been some changes that are forthcoming. The mayor has until the 18th to sign legislation that changes the current role of the community in the protest process. I can go over all these topics if you want. If you want me to wait till questions, I'll wait. But I think there's a lot of legislative changes that we're responsible for implementing that are going to make changes to the protest process for cannabis, and also have played a role in terms of the enforcement of unlicensed cannabis establishments. And I know I'll be talking, I think, a little bit about the hotline as well.
Oh, yes. So, say the least. All right, Commissioner McCarty, I'm going to give you the floor here, and we can deal with my issue at the end. Why don't you go ahead and talk about your resolutions and your community concerns, and we can open up to, of course, all the commissioners too.
Thank you, Commissioner Nigro. Thank you, Director Musali, for joining us this evening. I know you've heard a lot from me as well, Sarah, also. And so happy to have you here in person so we can have a dialogue on some of these things.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I've got a series of questions. I'm going to try to keep them brief, but they're pretty targeted. So one, it's come to my attention that there's only one cannabis investigator in ABCA's staff. Are there plans or budgeting talks about how to hire more cannabis investigators? And do you feel that one cannabis investigator is sufficient enough to practice oversight over all the medical cannabis dispensaries in the District of Columbia?
Great question, Commissioner. I appreciate that. So no, one is not sufficient. We advertised 2 cannabis investigator positions that closed within the last few weeks. We got over 200 applicants. We are starting interviews, I believe, most likely next week. I'm going to plug, and one of the reasons we're not doing the interviews this week, but I'm going to plug before I forget, is starting Monday, we're actually moving from the Reef Center to 899 North Capitol Northeast. So we've been spending a lot of time working on moving this week with last day there. So did want to highlight starting Monday, we'll be at 899 North Capitol Northeast. But to your point, we were conducting interviews to hire two new additional investigators in addition to the one you mentioned. And given the fact we got over 200 applicants, I think we feel pretty confident that we're going to fill those two. After we get those two filled, we do have in the budget one more that we'll also be filling as well. So hopefully that helps.
That does, and it's really great to hear that you'll be getting more staff. Next quick question. Do you have a number on the top of your head about how many medical cannabis licenses have been approved so far with the new rollout of the medical cannabis program?
So we've got about 15 or 16 retailers that are up and running. Just so everybody knows, retailers cannot be within 400 feet of each other. So we have stopped taking applications. The last application period we had ended. There's no plans to accept any more applications anytime soon. The last period we had were people that applied July 1, that the council passed legislation to let those go forward. So I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit about the protest process, but those will be the last group that'll get protested. Top of my head, we do actually track data in terms of the status of all our various applications. The last time I looked at that, I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks ago, there were close to about 40 that have been approved. In addition to about the 15 that are currently open. So I don't know if that helps, but there's about 40 or so that have been approved but not issued. I think one of the key things that's important in the legislation for people to recognize, because obviously our goal is to deal with the unlicensed market, both through transitioning businesses and through enforcement. But by March 31st, 2025, anybody that applied during the unlicensed cannabis period, they have to be open and operating or their license gets canceled. So I just want to put that important data out there.
Thank you, Director. Could you clarify? So I've been told 400 feet and I've also been told 500 feet between establishments. Could you confirm if it's 400 feet?
Yeah, I can tell you with 100% certainty it's 400 feet.
Okay.
Between establishments. The one change that I don't know if this is where the confusion comes. The one change that did happen, which I think is important to talk about, is the distance between retailers, internet retailers, and schools and like DPR rec centers was 300 feet, and that increased to 400 feet. So I don't know if that extra 100 feet is what's causing that, but because alcohol was 400 feet, I think the discussion with the council is that they should be consistent and everybody should know what it is. So that's been changed from 300 to 400 feet. Unlike alcohol, there's no exception if the school or rec center is zoned commercial now. So the new law doesn't have a carve out if the school or rec center is zoned commercial. But it's 400 feet for both. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. A little bit of background before I ask this next question, but as I liaise with APCA staff quite frequently, I've been told many times that the medical cannabis program was designed as a pretty direct reflection of the alcohol licensing program. And you've already mentioned, 400 feet. So there are quite a bit of similarities, but one glaring similarity that was left out in the medical program is community protesting rights. And so curious why, the administration went carefully to reflect so much of the alcohol licensing process while leaving out a pretty vital component of community rights and the medical cannabis licensing process in the form of having standing for protest.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Commissioner. Thank you for that. Well, I think two things. I think when we took over the program, statutorily, the ANCs, were the only ones involved, and it was ANCs where an establishment was proposed to be located. That's what we took over. That then got extended to affected ANCs because you could have, an establishment that abuts two ANCs and who may be included. So this last piece of legislation that I mentioned, the mayor has until Monday to sign, and that's on an emergency basis. The permanent legislation was already signed by the mayor and passed by the council. It's currently undergoing the 30-day congressional review period. So that actually expands who can file a protest. And that was the subject of a lot of discussion at the council. Part of the discussion, as you mentioned, is it should be exactly the same as alcohol. And working with the council, there were other things that they cared about that we worked with them on. One was the new legislation allows daycares or childcares to protest. So that was very important to the council to allow daycares to protest. On the alcohol law, proximity to daycares is a factor, but they can't protest. But it was very important to some council members that they be able to protest. So they'll be able to protest in the new law. And then under the alcohol law, as you know, an abutting property owner can file a protest. So the new law, it's going to probably take effect on Monday on an emergency basis, allows abutting property owners to file a protest. So that's a difference. The other thing that's interesting, which, that's going to be up to us to figure out, and will probably be an interesting board case, is the council went a little further, whereas in addition to a budding property owner, you can protest if you're like directly across the street. So I'm sure there's going to be cases of what directly across the street means. We'll have to figure that out. But that is kind of the expansion that's going to take effect on Monday. Is you're going to have daycares or child care centers can protest, and then abutting property owners and neighbors directly across the street are going to be able to protest. And obviously the ANC will continue to be able to protest. So hopefully that helps. That was the discussion of the council. I think everybody agreed that who could file a protest need to be expanded, and that's kind of where the council landed in working with them on that issue. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Director Musali. I'm going to try to package my remaining questions into one. They are all in regard to the 400 feet rule, as well as closure of I-71 compliant operators and your task force to shut those down. And so really, could you first begin by explaining how the I-71 closure task force works? I know you have been closing I-71 shops around the district, which I'm happy to see, but I would love if you could kind of explain for my fellow commissioners and the public kind of how the sausage is made there. But also, I want to ask you if the ABCA board will take into consideration the approval of medical cannabis retailers when there are I-71 shops in the area who have not been closed. And I'm asking if you furthermore could commit to not allowing medical cannabis retailers to open if you have not yet shut down I-71 compliant shops within that 400 feet range. So I understand that you cannot have two medical cannabis retailers, right? But we do have many instances in ANC 2G specifically where there are medical cannabis applications that have been approved or that are being protested, and there are I-71 shops still open, still operating within that 400 feet perimeter.
Got it. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. You covered a lot there. So if I don't touch on one of your points, just feel free to bring it back up because you covered a lot. Yeah, so just by way of background for everybody listening, we have a multi-agency cannabis enforcement team where we go out with MPD, Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection, who also helps with some Department of Buildings enforcement issues. We also go out with the Department of Health. So Department of Health is obviously looking at food safety, whether they have a food license. They can actually embargo product if it's not legal to sell in the district. Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection, they're looking at whether they have a basic business license and then whether they have a certificate of occupancy for from the Department of Buildings. We're obviously looking to see if they're licensed to operate as a cannabis business. Also mentioned DLCP also is looking at whether they sell flavored tobacco, which is not permitted in the district. So the way the initial legislation was passed by the council, it basically asked and wanted us to issue warnings to start, I think, just kind of focusing on education. So we did warnings The new legislation that'll take effect on Monday no longer has warnings. It only has the 2 remaining steps, which are we issue cease and desist orders, which is basically to cease and desist involve in illegal activity. And then we do what are called summary closures, which we recently got that activity. We've actually summarily closed and seized product at 13 businesses already. About another 40 or so have closed as a result of warnings or cease and desists. As part of those closures, we work with MPD to actually padlock an establishment. Oftentimes MPD will get a search warrant. We seize cannabis or other Schedule I substances, which might be like psychedelic mushrooms. In one case, we had an instance of opium. And so that's kind of what happens on a closure. We actually padlock the establishment. So we'll work with the landlord. Oftentimes they'll work to evict the tenant or get the tenant out of there. I think we're just, so I think that helps, if that makes sense. If you guys have a list, I'm happy to look at that. Other ANCs have sent us a list of establishments. If you want to shoot me an email to make sure that we're working on that. I will tell you that when places open legally, they are more than happy to tell us who's open near them because it's competition, right? So they're like, you know, I'm open. These people next to me aren't legal. They shouldn't be open. So we're out there. The 13th place was closed today. That'll probably come out tomorrow in terms of a media release we put out. But yeah, we are out closing establishments, and as you know, we have more investigators, which will result in even more establishments being closed. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you. I will just mention on behalf of my constituents, Happy Buds on 9th Street. I've emailed Sarah at least 3 times. I've talked to her twice on the phone. I've talked to MPD and I've talked to the mayor's office. So it should be very well recorded that Happy Buds and ANC 2G04 is a major problem and serious concern. They've had fines by DPW for improper disposal of trash. We've had the health department out. They meet at least half the criteria that your folks are looking for in your task force.
So and you can, I'll have Sarah follow up with you. I believe, top of my head, and if I get it wrong, I'll apologize, but I believe we issued them a cease and desist order this week.
That's great to hear.
Yeah,
Thank you, Director.
So, no problem.
2 really quick questions, and then I'll cede the floor to Commissioner Barry. Back to the 400-foot and the closure of I-71 shops. Can you commit to not allowing an approved medical cannabis retailer to open when you've not closed an I-71 shop within the 400 feet of that medical retailer?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to commit to that. I think that what I can commit to, if there's unlicensed establishments near there, then we'll take action. But we have, as you may know, a huge number of unlicensed establishments. So to basically have a transition of a legal market from the unlicensed market, 2 things have to happen. One, as you just mentioned, is enforcement, right? So enforcement's the number 1 thing. But if you're going to combat the illegal market, you need to have legal stores. Just a little while ago, we only had 6 stores, right? And you had several hundred unlicensed stores. So currently we have like 15 operating legal stores, if that, and then you've got well over 100 illegal stores. So in order to combat the illegal market, we do have to have some legal stores, because if people don't have places to go, they're going to go to the illegal market. We're starting right now with our enforcement action on these brick and mortar locations, which is forcing things to go to delivery online, selling from their house, which is obviously the next step of enforcement. So I'm happy to work with the commission on identifying places that we need to go to and making sure we visit those places. I'm happy to do that. But, you know, part of the enforcement effort is making sure places will get open. I don't know if that helps. But I will tell you, and list of the priorities, 1 through 5 is enforcement action. And then 6 is getting open legal businesses. Hopefully that helps.
That does. And my final question, I know the entire commission is working to shore up some discrepancies in communication from APCA regarding a possible outage the weekend of October 18th to the 23rd for the APCA call center. We have on email an APCA staffer acknowledging to us that there was an outage approximately between October 18th and 23rd. That timeline has not been confirmed, but we do have on record that there was an outage and that your team did fix it and take care of it. So thank you. We do need an operating call intake center. But that does raise concerns about operational practices, whereas we have on record from one APCA employee that you had an outage, and then I FOIA'd the administration, APCA, and they told me that there were no records of an outage. So I guess, can you confirm with us, was there an outage on the weekend of October 18th? Was this after?
Commissioner McCarty, let me add to the story, because I'm the person. I'm the person that called. So Director, and I thank Commissioner McCarty for the follow-up, is that one of my businesses, and I'm going to share my screen real quick, see if I can do this. There it is. It's a blatant, it's Flirt Social Club. The after hours brunch from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Well, that's not within their settlement agreement. So when I saw this on their social media, I did the email and I called. And then I was like, well, what's going to happen? Because is someone going to show up at 3 a.m.? Right? What's going to happen? And then I didn't hear back. And then I called again. And then I actually went over that. I said, hey, what are y'all doing over? Of course, they ignored me, right? And now they shut down their social media. But my question is, and follow up with Commissioner McCarty, is what was the deal with the outage? And I had my telephone calls recorded, the email. I sent this little poster, and nothing. I guess nothing happened, and they got away with it.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. One is, and because I want to answer both your questions. So obviously, I came prepared for this hearing and looking into these issues. So in looking at this issue, there was an outage. So I'm going to apologize for that. We do have a new complaint phone system that we use, designed to help track complaints. I think we've had some feedback from the commission in terms of more things you'd like to track. So obviously, we're working on that. But we did have an outage. I think as Commissioner McCarty indicated, we had an outage. I don't know if the exact, it's that time range that the commissioner mentioned. I don't know the exact days. I'm not going to try to do that, but I know for sure it included a weekend, which is not acceptable. And then our IT folks work with Octo, as the commissioner mentioned, and had it fixed. So they identified where the error was. And that following Monday after the weekend worked with Octo, and it has been fixed, as the commissioner noted. So I think that's one part of it. I think the other part, Chair, that concerned me that you raised, which I dealt with staff on, is if you're sending an email or correspondence, I expect you to get a response either that day or the following day, right? So the investigators work till 4 a.m. If you responded within that time frame, I'd expect a response. If it's right at 4, a little after 4, I'd expect them to get back to you the next day, right? So I'll apologize for that. I'm big on accountability, and if we need to improve something, I'm going to improve it. The other thing I'd say, don't ever feel like you can't reach out to me, right? I mean, I'm going to respond. And so if you, Chair or Commissioner McCarty, have issues, always feel free to email me and tell me, because I would have liked to have known this earlier, right? Not really find out more about it in preparation for this meeting, right? So I found out about it knowing, from your email, Chair. And of course, I looked into it and it was like, yeah, this happened and it got fixed. It's like, well, why didn't anybody say anything, right? So always feel free to reach out to me. I'm gonna do what I can to address these issues you guys raise.
Well, kind of the irony is, if I had not complained to Sarah that next day, or no one would have known that there was an outage. Because no one, and I acted as commissioner, right? I'm gonna email whoever I want and do whatever. But honestly, the regular person would not have known, and then you guys wouldn't have known. So you can thank me.
No, I agree. That's why, the other point I made is I put a checks and balance. It's like somebody's got to be checking this to make sure, right? And checking and looking to it. And that's part of a manager's responsibility, is making sure this thing's working.
So
But yeah, I think Commissioner McCarty, well, I'll let you're the chair, so I'll let you call.
So wait, did Flirt get away with it then? So it's almost like Flirt did their thing and, oh well.
Well, obviously we're gonna monitor that establishment. But yeah, all I can do is apologize, Chair.
Okay.
So I can just take responsibility when things happen, and I'm accountable. So I'm gonna apologize to you guys.
Okay, that's fine.
And get it fixed.
I just have one quick follow-up. Thank you, Director. But I'm still very concerned that you have acknowledged that there was an outage and you've apologized, for which I'm grateful, but we FOIA'd your agency and your FOIA officer went on record saying that there was no record of an outage. And so it's clear that we know there was an outage and that you have confirmed that with your team internally. Why was that not turned up in my FOIA request? And it specifically said there's no record of an outage.
Yeah, Commissioner, I'll follow up with staff on Monday. We're actually moving tomorrow, so it's going to be hard, but I'll look into that on Monday for you. The only thing I can think of is maybe no record of an outage means no one wrote, that there was an outage. I don't know. Let me look into that and get back to you. You're a little more familiar with what the FOIA request turned up than I am. But clearly to your point, we've got nothing to hide. At the end of the day, we have to be transparent and, open with everybody in terms of what happens, takes accountability when things do happen, right? So, I got the email from Chair Nigro, looked at it. It's like, yep, she's right. So, and like, you're right. So I'll look into that and I'll follow up with you next week. Let me kind of find out and see why you got the response you got.
Commissioner Barry.
Thank you for being here, Director.
Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate your time. You've answered so many questions. So I have a very simple question. What should residents expect after they submit a complaint? And how many complaints have to be filed before enforcement or an action takes place?
Sure, it's a good question. So you should only have to file one complaint for action to be taken. I don't expect you to submit numerous complaints. And one of the values of Sarah is that, a commissioner can always reach out to her and say, hey, what's the status of this? In case somebody didn't hear back, hopefully they do. But if you're like, what's the status of this? That's Sarah's job, is to advocate for the status of complaints we get. And like, has this been resolved? And then get back to the ANC or the resident and say, hey, here was the status, right? Here's what happened. So hopefully that helps. If it's a noise complaint, depending on how willing the noise complainant is to help, those are going to vary. Some of those are going to result in violations. Sometimes they may be called and we just go ahead and we get the establishment to lower the noise, close their windows and doors, and that's the end of it. Whereas other times we go into the house, substantiate the complaint, and there's a violation. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Padro? Alex?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome, Director Musali. You and I have been working together on APCA issues for about 24 years now. And I have two questions for you. The first is related to the enforcement actions on I-71 establishments. So I have not been able to find a place on your website where there is a list of the establishments that have been either closed and padlocked or to which cease and desist orders have been issued. So is there such a list? and I just can't find it, or is that something that you would be able to provide so that people can easily determine what the status of the enforcement against these illegal establishments is?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. It's good to hear from you as always. Yeah, we do have such a list. I thought in some transmittal correspondence that we put out that's been there, but I can make sure we get that to you at the beginning of next week. We do have that.
That's great. And then secondly, something that we've discussed before, but still haven't seen anything happen on it. So renewal placards do not have contact information for the establishment's owners, which makes it more difficult for commissions as well as the public to be able to navigate potential protests of renewals. Your placards for new applications have that information. When I and others request contact information for establishments that are renewing, we're told that we need to file FOIA. Well, usually, I reach out to you, and Sarah or some member of your team gets back to me. But it would seem to be in the interest of transparency that basic contact information, a point of contact name, an email address, and a phone number, should be provided on those renewal placards so that anyone that has questions can contact the establishment. So, what is the problem with providing that information? And can we start providing that information on the placards for renewals?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. I think this is a point I mean, I think you and I have talked and I agree with you on. I think 2 points. One, I think we are building out a new computer system because I want to make sure that's on the placards. Because we have time between now and the 2025 renewals, I'll bring this up. I think it would make sense to add this question on the renewal application so you get the contact info and then you can just put it on the placard. I think that's probably the best thing to do it. If we don't ask for the information on renewal, then you don't have it for the placard. So I think based on what you're saying, which I agree with you on, is that we ask for that information for a contact person on the renewal. And then when we get that on the renewal, we can just put it on the placard so you guys can have it. I think that solves the issue.
Great. Sounds like a step in the right direction. Appreciate your taking action.
Happy to work with you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, any other questions for the director from the commissioners? Otherwise, I'll open it up to the public.
Got a
Go
quick
ahead, Tony.
question. A quick question. Is the 400 rule applicable to medical and retail the same? You can have a retail and a medical, and it can't be within 400 feet.
Yeah, great question, Commissioner. Yeah, so the medical retailers can't be within 400 feet of each other. So on the cannabis side, we don't have adult cannabis sales. So I use the term medical retailer. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Okay.
So they can't be within 400 feet of each other, just like a liquor store can't be within 400 feet of each other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, members of the public, if you would like to ask a question of the director of ABCA, which covers both cannabis and alcohol, please raise your virtual hand. Maybe not. So you're maybe you're just popular with us, director.
That's okay. And I'm happy, I'd happy to come back next year in 2024.
Okay.
I don't think it makes sense to wait too long to come back.
You are welcome. No, and plus, we'll just, as you know, I'm glad that you came because this certainly my concern was like, oh gosh. I mean, that was actually that was the only time I've ever called you guys, and it failed miserably. So I was like, that was one and done. So I have hope for a brighter future, and hope to never have to call you guys again, right? But we're glad that it's fixed and that you are accessible to our questions.
Yeah, that's the only way. We appreciate the ANCs, and you guys have been great in terms of providing feedback and your views, which have been helpful. Sarah thinks the world of your commission and speaks highly of you guys. So keep working with her. But anytime you need me back, I'm happy to be here. I mean, I'm all about, being transparent and addressing you guys' concerns. So, happy to work with you guys.
Well, we thank you for your time this evening.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Director.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, folks, we have a DDOT issue, and this is brought to my attention. This is about the S Street project, which is in Tony's area. And we have Mr. Muhammad. I think he's about what is going on up there. You see him, here's A. Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad, are you there with us? I'm promoting you.
Okay. You got him, Rochelle.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it.
They do have to accept, which means they've got to.
Mr. Muhammad, I know you're with us. Well, maybe he stepped away for a second. There he is. All right. Oh, we have more than one person. Okay. Hi.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good. How's it going?
Good,
Mr.
good. I
Muhammad?
have a presentation to share.
Oh, you do? Oh, this is fantastic.
Yes.
So let me tee this up for a little bit. Is that I received a request from a constituent who was concerned about what was going on with this project and things being redone frequently, and if it was necessary. So a whole host of issues, but especially the timing. And that constituent's on the call.
You froze, Rochelle.
Oh, did I? Can you see me now? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Muhammad, or you guys, whoever wants to share their screen.
Did everybody freeze? Okay.
What's going on?
You had frozen. Okay.
Can you see now?
You're muted, Rochelle.
Yep,
Okay.
I can, yep, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so I don't, is Abdullahi on the line? I don't think he's on the line, is he? Well, if
We
he's
have a
not,
gentleman with his name on the line, so. Mr. Muhammad.
okay, great.
Okay.
I see, yeah, I see A. Mohammed on there, but he's muted, so I don't know if we should wait or if you want me to start.
I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Oh, he's there.
Yeah.
Hi.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Good evening. My name is Abdullahi Mohammed. I'm with DDOT. I'm the project manager for S Street. And we are here to update the status and the progress of the project. Thank you, Chair Nagaro, for inviting us. So we put together a quick slide that we will go over, and I will turn it over to Art to present. Go ahead, Art.
Thank you, Abdullahi. My name is Arias. I work for DDOT as a construction manager on the S Street Northwest Revitalization Project. Revitalization, it's a mouthful. I'm going to begin by presenting on the completed milestones, the upcoming milestones, the project timeline, and then we're going to have a question and answer. Basically, I'm just going to talk about the major developments in the project. So again, my name's Art Arias. I work under HNTE for DDOT. The DDOT project manager is Mohammed Abdullahi. We've got our community outreach staff, which is TDNA, Stacy Hemby and Jarrell Johnson. I think the community has been dealing a lot with Jarrell. And our contractor is Capital Paving of DC. So this is the overview of how your neighborhood would look once the project is completed. And I want to emphasize that it's going to look like the best neighborhood in town. You know, we're going to have a large number of additional trees. We're going to have beautiful paver sidewalks, granite curbs, you know, impeccable asphalt pavements. You know, it's going to rejuvenate this area, make it, you know, as good as new or even better. On the Florida and the Rhode Island side, we're going to close off a street next to the post office, and that's going to be like a tiny little park. So I want to let all the residents know that we understand the hardships and having a permanent construction site right outside your house and having all the banging and drilling and noise and dust. But this is going to be a very, very nice neighborhood when we're done. So as I mentioned, we're going to have new green space at New Jersey and Florida. We're going to have a large number of traffic calming measures, such as sidewalk bump outs on the majority of the intersections. This means that, you know, when you have traffic making a turn, they're going to have to significantly slow down. That's one of the objectives. The other objective is that when you have bump outs, you give pedestrians an area to stand where traffic can see them, and you also give them a safe area to stand. So instead of having a car clip pedestrians because it makes a turn and it jumps on the curb, these bump outs just clearly show that they have to slow down and also clearly show any pedestrians on the intersection. So that's a really valuable thing going to be added to the neighborhood. We're going to have pedestrian and bicycle connectivity, such as bike lane markings and also a raised crosswalk. So not only is a raised crosswalk is basically a speed bump where pedestrians can cross. So you have all these things going on. You have the sidewalk bump outs, and then you have speed bumps. You have markings. We're going to have upgraded street lighting and also traffic lights because that's a given. We also focus at DDOT very heavily on environmentalism, you know, improving our environment. So we have a large number of green infrastructure improvements, which is basically a bioretention basin, which this means that instead of rainwater going directly into a combined storm drain or storm sewer, it is infiltrated into the surrounding soil instead of just automatically being sent down, you know, concrete pipes. It allows stormwater to infiltrate and to, you know, benefit trees in the surrounding area, and that minimizes pollution of the Anacostia and the Potomac River. And I also mentioned we're going to do the basics, which is new pavement and break sidewalk, curb, and gutter. Other improvements are the ones that you don't see, which is we're replacing all the water mains. We just, and I'm going to update on that. We're replacing all the water mains. We're replacing all the combined storm sewer. And so this means that we're not going to have to excavate any major holes or do any major work in the next minimum 50 years, probably more like 80 years. Let's see, these are the completed items that you can see right now. So right now, the entire job looks like it blew up. And the reason for that is because we just got done with all the major items of the storm sewers and the water mains. And Washington Gas was in the area about 2 years ago, so they got done with that. And so right now, we're like locked and loaded to make the job look nice, which is kind of the purpose of this meeting, is to let residents know that we're in that phase where we're going to start building out the sidewalks, we're going to start finishing out the pavement, and now you're really going to see what the final product is going to be. 6th Street in New Jersey, we encountered some significant conflicts in our storm sewer. And so you've seen us come back and forth to that location. The reason is because we have to do about a 15 or 20-foot hole on that area because there's a number of different utilities there, including a main Pepco transmission line, along with our sanitary sewer line or combined sewer, and along with gas. And so this neighborhood has had a large number of utility conflicts just because it's in the middle of town. So that's been a challenge to us. So if you've been wondering why we keep coming back and forth to the same location, it's because we find a number of surprises. We have the upcoming items, and these are like the final components of the project. We're doing street lights, traffic lights, which we usually leave to the end. We're going to be doing landscaping. We're going to take advantage of the planting season coming up to start putting some trees down, and just the nice stuff like asphalt. No more bumps, no more holes in front of your house, and finally line striping. These are just a couple of pictures I'm sure you guys are very familiar with. On the right side, we have a bioretention basin. And so the idea is that we have this like concrete structure where water will flow and then seeps into the ground. The water mains have been, have ranged from easy jobs all the way to complex 15, 20-foot excavations, particularly in front of the mechanic on Rhode Island and 6th. That's been a very, very deep excavation. That was a lot of work. We've got, you see a roadway restoration in progress. This is not an ideal situation for drivers because there's a lot of bumps. But we are adjusting the grade so the water flows better, so there's no more ponding in the neighborhood. So that's why we kind of adjust the depth of the asphalt, and that's why you see those different like different levels on the road. We're also putting in some ADA compliant ramps now. We're making the entire neighborhood ADA compliant. I remember we had an issue with like a street light foundation being in the middle of the sidewalk, and then people on wheelchairs had a hard time getting through these sidewalks. So that's all fixed now. Another bioretention, and this is a foundation for a street light. So we began in November 2023. It's been a year now. And we're going to be completed on April 2025. And that completion date is non-negotiable. That's going to happen. If the contractor does not complete in April 2025, it means they're going to get fined, a couple $1,000s a day. It's a very serious timeline. And so we're 99% sure we're going to meet this timeline. And that concludes the presentation. I'm going to open it up for questions. And this is if you want to contact us.
Yeah, before you get to questions, I need to summarize where we at. First of all, it is true that there was some slowdown, but it's not because we stopped or there is a problem. But anytime that you have to finish one milestone, in this case was water line, before you transfer the new water main, you have to test it, the pressure. So when you pressurize it and waiting and see how it will take, if there's any leak in the system, because we don't want to put anybody out of water prematurely tied into the new water main. So you need to stop all the other activity because it will interfere the sensitive gauge, pressure gauge. So that's why you see it, the slow down. And then during that time, we find out there was one spot that didn't hold the pressure. So they have to go back and dig it and replace it, that section. So all that is done, and the water main was tested and pressurized and it passed it. And good thing now the new water main was transferred. So all the water now is running through the new water main. The other stuff is on 400 block and 500 block. We get a request from the community and we have to change some of the original scope of work. So that requires that we have to do contract modification, material approval, and that also did a little bit slow down. But the good thing is we're still shooting original timeline to finish on time, barring, I need to make sure I say that, unforeseen condition and the weather, because if we have a major storm, that will impact it, but we will come back. And if that's the case, we will update. But right now, based on the current updated schedule and in discussion with the contractors, we have a weekly meeting. We are still on the schedule. And I think hopefully that will answer the question that President saw it, but it was not abandonment or slowed down, but we have to go through that phase as part of the project. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner McCarty, if you, I see Mr. Kleinman on the other side. He is the constituent and Tony to speak to, but if you could bring over Mr. Kleinman. Okay, go ahead, Tony.
First of all, I'd just like to give a shout out to Mr. Abdullahi and Ari for all the outstanding work that you all have done. Yes, it has been a little noisy and waking me out of my morning rest, but it's all worth it. I'd also like to publicly thank Mayor Bowser, Mayor Bowser, Director Kirschenbaum, and Councilmember Pinto for their support in making the modification in the 400 and 500 block of S Street, and all of the constituents who signed off on our petition. I'd just like to thank you for all the hard work, and it looks wonderful. We're looking forward to this getting completed, and we can get our parking spaces back.
Yes.
Because it has really been a press. But I thank you guys for all the stuff that you've done. It's well worth the entire effort. Thank you so much on behalf of the residents.
Well, thank you so much, Tony.
Mhm.
And Mr. Muhammad and I have known each other for quite a while.
Yes, indeed.
That's an understatement. So Mr. Kleiman is the one who approached me because there was concerns from him and other constituents about the timing and so the floor is yours, Mr. Kleiman. They are here for you.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. And let me both thank and echo Commissioner Brown's comments. Everybody who is being affected in the neighborhood by this construction is incredibly grateful for it. This is a fantastic project that's benefiting all residents in a number of ways. I, for one, jumped for joy when I saw the storm drain being put in for the first time. Seeing that kind of mitigation of additional climate risks for our neighborhood and for the district generally was really encouraging, and I was pleased to see it. And of course, I'm very excited for the beautification efforts, and we're already seeing a little bit of it, and it does look really good. You definitely answered, pardon me, my main question. I think my inquiry came practically on the day in which you had to dig up the old water pipe to repair it. And
Right.
what I saw on that day was digging up recently poured asphalt and then repouring and then doing it again and then repouring. And I was concerned that the project was going to be slowed down substantially by virtue of having to repair additional work, or I was concerned that the contractor, for some reason or another, was doing additional work that wouldn't be necessary for the completion of this excellent project. And you have more than assuaged me of my concerns. And so I'm just incredibly grateful that you have made some time for us tonight. I apologize for ruining a Thursday night. But again, the work that you're doing for our neighborhood, we really are very grateful.
No, thank you. Not reunion. Actually, this project was community initiated project, and all the input we get it helped us to where we at, and hopefully we will do even more when we finish it. So we appreciate your help and your feedback, and we are here until we finish the job. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the commissioners or from the public about this wonderful project that's going to improve that area? No, no. All righty. We thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
All
So much.
parties.
Thank you again.
Great. Okay, and now we've come to another Commissioner McCarty resolution.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to do my best to keep this brief, and I'm going to share my screen. This relates to our conversations earlier with Director Musali. As our attendees are already aware, there was an outage with the APCA complaint intake system approximately over the weekend of October 18th through Monday the 21st. Commissioner Nigro discovered this. And we worked together to practice some oversight over APCA to get to the bottom of this. Unfortunately, when I submitted that FOIA request, they told me there was not an outage. We have now since confirmed that there was an outage, and we can also come to the reasonable conclusion that we would have never known about an outage unless we poked into this and dug much further. So this resolution is in light of realizing and uncovering that outage, that we ask APCA to be public and openly transparent about any outage or limitations to their capabilities in intaking complaints. And so, this walks you through the timeline that we've already shared, but I just want to get down to the therefore be it resolved that we ask APCA to immediately implement the following measures to ensure consistent and transparent reporting of service disruptions and to restore community trust in the agency's operations. One is an outage notification. So we are asking that ABCA shall report any outage or disruption in its complaint intake system, including call center issues, online submission errors, or other intake system malfunctions to ANC commissioners, the mayor's office, and the DC council within 24 hours of detection. This is important because we waited at least 72 hours before we had any response. And again, we had to keep digging and digging until today when the director of ABCA confirmed with us once and for all that there was an outage. Number two, detailed outage reports. We're asking for any outage affecting complaint intake systems, ABCA shall provide a summary report detailing the outage's duration, impact, cause, and corrective measures. This report again should be provided to ANC commissioners and posted publicly on ABCA's website within 7 days of the incident. Three, public accountability report. We would like ABCA to prepare an annual summary report of all complaint system outages detailing the duration, cause, and resolution of each incident. And this report again should be shared with ANC's, the mayor's office, and the DC council, made publicly available and provided to the council for review during DC council's annual oversight hearings. Therefore, be it resolved that ANC2G will transmit this resolution to ABCA Director Fred Musali, the DC Council on Committee and Business and Economic Development, and the Executive Office of the Mayor to ensure that prompt action are taken on these requests and to reinforce trust and integrity in ABCA's operations and services to the community. With that,
I think it's great.
I would like to move that ANC2G pass my resolution urging timely reporting and transparency in ABCA's online complaint systems.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Watkins?
You're on mute. Sandra.
Thank you.
Watkins?
Ms. Watkins?
I
Do you-
said,
Are you a yay?
y'all can't hear me?
Yeah,
Now.
we can now.
Okay, yeah.
How do you vote?
Why you gotta bite all the time? I said aye,
Are you-
yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good job, Commissioner McCarty. He is our resolution guy.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's go to, we can talk about the budget, or if you want to open, can you open up the presentation, Tony, or?
No, I don't know how to do
Okay,
that.
wait. Maybe I can. Okay, hold on. Keep
Okay.
talking. Why don't you go ahead and talk and I'll get it.
Okay, we're gonna start with the budget. Okay, for fiscal year 2024, we had a annual allocation, a total annual allotment of $15,723.04. Of course, we have spent more than that, but we've had the assistance from the Office of ANC with the legal counsel to defray some of those other costs. But we're getting down to just the basic stuff. So going into 25, fiscal year 25, it's increasing only $322 a year, $322.67. So our allocation for this year is going to be $16,045.71. This is the way we had, I think I had discussed this with, who did I discuss this with? I guess Rochelle earlier.
Probably me.
sometime. Yeah. And we basically came up with this new proposal that we allot the money as you see it here on the screen. Let me just separate out any assistance that we get from the Office of ANC for the 501 New York Avenue project. That sort of is separate and apart. So we're just looking at, this is our operating expenses here. So that's where we are right now. So if everybody agrees with that or have any questions about whether we should move anything around, let me know now. Because I'm gonna have to submit this tomorrow.
Where's the Karen's fee?
Karen's in the POV number 7.
Oh,
That's only
okay.
like about $3,300 a year.
Okay, I was thinking personnel.
Yeah,
I don't know, or direct office. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was gonna move a little bit of money over to direct office expenses, but basically I've been printing out all my good paper, using my envelopes and stamps, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I just left it as it was.
Yeah, but hold on, wait, can I talk? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so, but you're not gonna be here next go round, Tony, so
Okay.
the thing,
That's why I'm
I
asking.
am, I have already volunteered to be treasurer.
Right.
So
God bless you.
to keep up the understand, because it gets, and for those of you who's left in the audience and the commissioner who's never dealt with it, it is very complicated with the Office of ANC, and that is an understatement. And
Yes.
so it is to understand the program and all this, it's a lot. So, but I'll tell you what, if I do become treasurer, I will not be as generous as you, Tony. So I would suggest there be a little something in
Yeah.
there.
Okay. So let's decide that now, so I can.
I mean, I would say, well, see, but I don't understand. What was the office supply? This is where we had this conversation last year,
Mm-hmm.
but that is what it is.
Yeah. Postage, I put out money for postage and all that other stuff, but the major things for postage, I charged to the credit card, which have also been approved during the year, so you all know all about that. But my little stamps and all the other stuff, I didn't worry about it.
But I'm saying, how is this described in terms of, and maybe I just don't remember, the office supply versus direct office? I don't,
Okay, that's a good question. That supplies are basically
because that would be what you just mentioned.
paper, envelopes, stamps. Is that considered just office supplies or direct office
supplies.
costs? Okay.
Those are supplies, I would say. Is direct office like a location? Like if we had to rent a location or something like that? Is that what I'm,
I can't remember.
assuming?
Well, yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
You're right. So I guess it doesn't matter. It's there in office supplies.
Okay, but
So-
just like speak generally though. I mean,
Okay.
we could always go back and change it, but I
Yeah,
think
you can.
Commissioner Barry's right. So that would be anything like the paper and whatnot. So,
Okay.
Secretary, does Karen, the lady that does the minute,
She's in number 7.
she's
POV. PO
so
service.
PO, sir. So what is personnel?
Purchase order. Personnel, we don't have an office. We don't maintain any type of space. We don't have any regular staff, like a secretary or somebody that takes out emails and all that stuff. We don't have any of that.
Oh, okay.
Some ANCs actually have an office, and they have to pay for office space, the whole night, the phones and all that other stuff, and that would be in the direct office. Personnel would be whoever's manning the office.
My other question is, and I don't know whether Commissioner Niger was joking, kidding about volunteering as treasurer.
no, it's true. Because of the continuation, it'd be easier. It's very, very complicated.
Yes.
Let me finish my question. All right. So my question is, so you're going to be the chair and volunteer as the treasurer?
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't be both. So if
No,
you,
I'm done being chair. We done.
that's what I was going to say. So if you were going to be the treasurer, were you not going to be chair?
Correct.
That was
Correct.
Yeah, we need me in the treasurers because of just of how that with the communication and who we have to deal with and the familiarity of what's going on currently. I mean, it is a lot of emails literally every week that
Right.
I can't.
That was going to be my next question. Is have Tony tried to have anything outlined where the next person that be treasurer will be able to? Have you kind of like groomed them or?
Let me answer that real quick.
Treasurer,
I'd like to put it on record that coming into the position as the treasurer, it was just total chaos to me. It took us over 6 months to even get an account open. But thanks to the tutelage of Rochelle, and I'll give Don Dickerson of the Office of ANC some credit for getting everything assisting me to get everything together, to get everything set up the way it is. It's been a learning curve, like I said, but Rochelle has been there through some of the things that I had to figure out, and we've managed to do a good job. So
Okay.
I think
And I
Rochelle
was
is the best selection to do the treasurer for next year.
and I was treasurer once before, whenever that was.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just, I was just wondering
Okay.
how the transition
Okay.
takes, because you not being the commissioner, you not being the treasurer. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
do they
Praise,
have an
only thing I'm gonna say is praise God.
what happened?
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I think the another point I want to point out, because we have not given out any grants. So which is, nor do we advertise it. And we have some money. Again, the legal fees are completely separate, right? For what we're doing now currently at the jail. I mean, I don't know if we want to put stuff in there. For commissioners who have never experienced the grants, and Alex is on the line and Tony, they usually fail famously. So because they're not approved or there's something with the auditor. So my ask of the commissioners is, how do they feel about that?
About giving out grants? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't know we gave out grants. I had no idea. It's news to me. Yeah.
We didn't have any money last year, remember? So now we're getting now,
Right.
because remember we went to zero. We were from zero and we still don't have a whole lot of money.
So we would give grants to people to put on programs or initiatives. Is that what we used to do?
It's very specific about, like, I remember the one successful grant was to the Tabernacle for one of their community days, and but you have to have all the receipts. And we gave one grant to the Ward 6 during the pandemic. I can't remember what that was called, that movement. Community something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then with that group, I remember, and they're a great group, don't get me wrong, but we had trouble getting the receipts from them, and there's always a little something. Am I explaining it correctly, Tony?
Yes, and they're so particular, they basically have to be confirmed through the Office of ANC. There's a process.
And the auditor.
And right through the auditor, and if anything goes wrong, you're up the creek. Because
So I have another question.
yes.
This year when we had the Marion Street, when they did the cleanup, all right, we wanted to get some trash bags and some other supplies to help with the cleanup that DPW wasn't providing us with. And so remember I was saying, well, Tony, do we have that money? And you said, well, it wasn't in a budget. Is there somewhere around here that that you would be able to take money out of in case something like that we wanted to do for 2G? Or would that be something called a grant? Would you classify that as a grant? That's one. The third question is, if we have chairs of the various committees like zoning, APCA, public safety, and they wanted to host an event or rent some space to host an event, would that fall underneath of direct office or personnel? Is there any monies in any of these dollar amounts, communication or supply, that if any additional money that's needed would be able to be pulled from any of these other funding sources? Or would everything other?
Well, okay, so let me talk about that first with the leaf or whatever day that you're referring to. That would be because DPW is supposed to provide bags and all that type of stuff. You can, with any sort of grant, you cannot duplicate what the government already provides. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble.
We were doing a cleanup day.
Yeah.
Not the service. It was clean up your neighborhood.
Yep.
All right. So
they provide bags for that.
Yeah, they provide, but what they didn't provide, we had to provide.
So again, this is how I feel about it, just because we've been through this, and Alex can speak, or we need to check every time before with the auditor, and it's really the auditor that is the concerning entity in this. Because we have had groups that have been disappointed. Well, we're sorry you're turned down. So that's, and for the small amount of money that it is, and and it's only my belief, not with the commission or any other commissioner. To me, it is not worth it because it is complicated. But there we go.
Yeah, but I think maybe I'm not explaining myself. If in next year we decide to do the same thing and we needed a few extra dollars to buy what DPW wasn't providing or DC government wasn't providing, would we be able to ask for it out of that other money? You see,
If you're talking about a grant, what
no,
I'm hearing
about a grant anymore. I'm talking about line item number 9, which says other.
Oh, 9. Okay, I'm sorry.
Which is other. I understand about the whole thing about the grants, Michelle.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's saying, can money be used to pay for things on behalf of the commission for like community events? Like, so there wasn't enough trash bags. She wants to know.
Well, we've done stuff in the past. Do you remember, Tony, anything in the past?
No, not with me being involved with it.
Alex, do you remember?
Mm-mm. And then there was just a question that was raised by the Office of ANC just past week. If we maintain a petty cash.
No, we're not doing that.
So what is other used for? What is the purpose of other? Well, that's number 9. That's 23.
Well, other might have been like the signs we had for the jail.
Right.
For the what?
Signs
when we did the campaign
produced.
signs for the jail.
Okay.
And here's the thing. So we need anything. This is what we just need to ask. All we have to do is ask the Office of ANC and say, is this approval? They give us a clear yes or no.
Right.
Okay,
y'all asked that in January because I don't have the fuel to deal with it now.
Administration.
So here's the thing. We can always ask Ms. Watkins and like for the signs, right? I went and asked them first.
Right.
And they said fine.
Right.
I understand what you're saying. But in the event we were doing a community building workshop or whatever, can we include that in any of these line items for next year?
Okay. Let me ask this. Just to give you some clarity. If you're doing a community effort and you're relying on other people to bring you receipts and have everything cleared up,
no,
you are putting yourself at liability to replace whatever they can't give you a receipt for.
Right, I understand that part.
Okay.
I understand that part.
We were not putting ourselves in that situation.
Right.
That was agreed upon.
Well, okay. And all that and the reconciliation, I understand all of that.
Well,
Nobody my question as to whether this budget right here says 2024, that was for this year. Is that correct?
Well, it should be 25 on this sheet, right?
It will be the same budget.
It's only a difference of $322, yes.
Okay. So is there any way we can add additional funds in this budget anywhere to have money to put on some community events or money that we might need? Rachel didn't know that she was going to need signs saying no jail.
That's true.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
But it was an effort being financed by the Office of ANC. So we had to take up the residual slack, which was a minor part of it. And we're still waiting on money when you'll see when I read the report, because you got to be able to pay your bills when they come due. If we blow every dime that we have, we're liable for whatever expenses. If you want to take on that responsibility, and I'm quite sure Rochelle's not going to take on that responsibility.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
I'm answering your question. We have not agreed to do that, and that's why it's not in the budget, because of those those
Oh, okay,
complications.
now I understand.
Mhm.
If we haven't agreed to do something, then it wouldn't be in this budget.
Okay.
Well, and we
Yeah.
can, here's the thing, we can move, we don't have, we can move stuff, we just have to talk about it publicly.
Right, right.
We can
Okay.
change things around. So, so
January.
Yeah.
January.
So I think, here's the thing, Ms. Watkins, we can find out information, and then bring it back. We have to submit this, right?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, and so if we need to change something, we can certainly change something, but we need to talk about it publicly, transparency, and we can get information from the Office of ANC, so we have clarity. And all I know is, as I'm bringing up the grants, they have failed famously.
I've been thinking about grants. I know how hard it is.
I know, but we're gonna answer your questions.
Yeah.
I think, just to say, I think what Commissioner Watkins is saying is a great idea. And it would also motivate us to have more community initiatives. But having everyone involved and bringing receipts is different than actually you being in charge of something and you having your, being accountable for that. So I understand what you're saying, and I understand that we could do it in January because it's a lot. Yes, I get it. Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? If I'm chair of the APCA, the committee, and I wanted to do something with the community in APCA, you understand what I'm saying? But right now, what I'm hearing is we can move money around to get money to do something if we need to do it, but then we have to get the ANC approval. I'm not sure whether, when you say ANC approval, I'm not sure if you're saying the entire ANC, the office of
ANC.
Office, but not ANC 2G. You're talking
No.
about the office approval.
Right.
So even if we wanted to add personnel in here right now,
There's a process.
budgets, I always look at budgets at what I'm going to be spending next year. So if I spent this is the same amount of money you spent last year.
It's a difference of $322 increase.
So you increase it, right? So is there a need that you don't think you should increase it for next year?
We don't know.
You got to ask the office of the ANC office.
It has to be approved. Yeah.
And we also can't spend money on food. That's another little
right
thing.
And about budgets and what you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move this forward, you guys, because I'll get your questions answered, Ms. Watkins, and I apologize that I am not this ANC budget expert by any means. Because it is in the reality, it is not a whole lot of money.
Right.
So
and no money right there.
Well, and when we started out with zero, and when we were 6E, we had over $60,000. Right, remember that? And so now we're starting over again. And I think, going to Commissioner McCarty, as his little face popped back on there, is that, I mean, it's great that we have legal fees for the jail via the grant. Otherwise, we would not be doing anything, right? Let's make that clear.
Right.
Now, I have to talk with Commissioner McCarty when there's things like his ABCA, whatever.
Yeah.
We might want to think about establishing a legal fee, a legal line.
Right. That's wait a minute. Let me put some clarification there. We had a situation in the last administration with Lopez.
Yeah, what happened with that?
We had to put out like $5,000 in attorney fees for APCA cases.
Yeah, but we had that money.
Yeah, we had it, but I'm saying if we get down and we have to do that again, and maybe have to do it 2 or 3 times, this is where the money comes from.
Yeah, so that's what. But I'm saying it would maybe we want to think about that because again, it's great we've got money for the jail, but that's not our money. If for something and certainly that's an extraordinary situation, but normally we're dealing with liquor licenses or cannabis, and that we would need that legal support.
Right, and that just became available this year. The legal expense.
Yeah, but that's expert.
Yeah, but what I'm telling them, we didn't have that before.
Yes, correct.
Right.
We're just lucky.
I'm sorry, let me say this.
Okay.
I've just never prepared a budget for the same amount for the next year. You understand? I've always prepared budgets where there would be some increase because fees are increased, whatever. Office supplies will even be increased. So when you're saying that this is what's going to be 25's budget, you know, without any other increases, I'm like, okay, so well, no supplies increase next year. Where does the money come from? But I understand what y'all are saying now. I pretty much understand what you're saying. It's just that I think maybe we should take a look at not just settling for, okay, this is what we spent this year, so that's what we're going to spend next year, because some things might came up. Like I said, the signs came up. Did you have approval from the office of the ANC to get use that money?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I had to go to
You
them and
can't
ask them.
arbitrarily spend money that is not approved for an expense.
Here, you have to get approval for any expense, any of the money that you're using.
That's
When
right.
it's so something like that, I'm not talking about, okay, Rochelle's gonna buy a book of stamps for this checks, right? Got it. That's no big deal. For something extraordinary where we are talking about something that the jail, and we had talked about it and using the other funds, but when I talked to him about, can we do signs? And he said, yes, those signs would be covered. And then you all voted that it was fine. But I went to him specifically.
Right.
Right. I understand that piece. I understand. Okay.
So, I think what's maybe confusing you is, revenue versus expenditures. So our revenue is just increasing by a couple of $100.
Right.
So that's all that we have. What we do have the ability to do later after we've approved the budget is to reprogram. So for example, the signs for the jail, we reprogrammed dollars that once we got approval to spend them that way so that we could that we were to spend on other budget line items so that we could cover it. So in January, for example, if we decide that each committee is going to do an event, to attract volunteers and members of the committee, and that you're going to spend $500 for each of the committees, well, we can decide to do that. We can reprogram that money out of, for example, line 7, and then we can proceed.
Thank you. And after we do that, we still have to go to the office at ANC to get approval?
Correct.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought once this budget is in place, then we just have to show
changing of the funds from budget category to another, then you do have to consult with the office of ANC, especially when it's something was not previously considered.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And I can tell you this, just because of what's been going on with the amount of communication with the Office of ANC, which is good. We appreciate that. It's better to over communicate with them about what we are doing.
Right.
I cannot, because then there's people that you guys do not know that Tony and I know. And we have to read many emails and make sure that we are on the same page, and sometimes have meetings and phone calls and all that. So we over communicate.
And you just don't know what I've been through with this system. And they had one system in place, and they changed over to another system. Monies were shifted, changed. The quarterly reports, the figures were off. You had to go back and redo them. It's just been a nightmare.
And we thank you for living that nightmare.
Thank you.
Okay. So can I finish?
Okay, yes, please.
Okay, let's go to the quarterly reports. I can get that out of the way.
Well, should we vote on this now or vote it?
Oh, yes, vote on this now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I moved that ANC.
Question.
Yes,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go, Alex. Alex, who was it?
You went back on mute, Alex.
Yeah, other than in item number 7, other than Karen services, what are we including in there?
That's it so far. I think we just dropped it there just to have it somewhere where we can get those services. And I think this was when we were doing that money for the attorney. Right. This was where that was. So now that we have money coming from a different place for legal expenses, it doesn't have to all stay there, but it can be moved around at any time.
So basically,
capital expenses coming out of?
January.
Excuse me?
So
The
we're saying reprogram stuff in January.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
But this
Thank
is the amount that, the bottom line, that's the amount we have.
Right, that's what we have for this year. And we have not been paid that yet. We
No.
haven't even gotten the first quarter's money, and it started October 1. Okay, any other questions? If there be none, I move that ANC 2G approve the 20 fiscal year 2025 annual budget and the adding up to the amount of $16,445.71 as is allocated on this screen.
Do I have a second?
I second it. I second it.
Commissioner Barry seconds, all in favor?
Oh, question.
Aye. Oh,
Got a
go
question?
ahead. Alex.
So question, so we're not carrying over any funds from 24 to 25?
That's not counted in the annual budget.
Really?
But we're, so
Well,
we're,
hold on, wait a minute. I'm going to read you all that. The November finance sheet, you'll see what's left. This will be all added afterwards. This has not been even touched. It ain't come in yet. So we're operating off of fumes from last year's budget. This
Okay,
is
so
25. We're in 25 already.
this is a spending plan for the FY25 income.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's a better way to categorize it than a budget.
Okay,
because
right.
Budget would also include anything that's carried over.
Right. Well, I'm going to give you the monthly expenses.
Let's finish the vote here. So who seconds? Gina seconds, right?
I second
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. I'm going to go
Motion passed.
to the
Alex, did you
monthly-
vote?
Yes, I did. Aye.
Thank you. All right, aye. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Let me go to the November 2024 monthly financial update. Okay, and this, you will see how this ties back to the fourth quarter report. The opening balance effective October 1 was $9,575.86. This month we have written several checks. You'll see listed $2,928. These are all checks. Well, not all except two. I'll go ahead and make this identify each one. Check number 1069, that was to THEMAC for 501. The check for number 1070, $144, that was THEMAC. The check 1071 was for Karen Yaley. I think that one was for 2 months ago. Last month's check was 1072 in the amount of $275. Another check to THEMAC 1073, which was $3,780, was THEMAC. Check number 1075, $883 was for the posters that we had produced for 501 New York Avenue. Check number 1076, $96.47 were the supplies that were bought to place the signs up and post them. And then the last check at number 1077, $2,496, that was to THEMAC. Let me go back. Correction.
Right.
Check number 1073, that was to what's his name? Todd
Baldwin.
So that's a correction there. But you know, if anybody wants to see copies of it, I got it all. Okay, we had expenses in the amount of $10,877.47. Okay, we received 2 allotments. One is I don't even know how they came up with $363.83. I don't even know. Our regular allotment is $4,011.46. So trying to figure out all that stuff. $4,375.29 was received. So $9,575.86 minus the $10,877.47. Adding in the $4,375 brings us a bottom line total of $3,600 $73.68. We still have outstanding bills, but that's coming from ANC. So we're carrying over at this point $3,000, $3,073.68. Till we get more money, that's all we have. Okay. I move that ANC, any questions? Okay, I move that ANC accepts the monthly November 2024 financial monthly update as stated.
Seconded.
Okay,
Alex seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Watkins?
Ms. Watkins, you on mute.
I know, I keep turning my mute on.
Okay.
On so I don't say anything. Yes,
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Motion is, thank you.
All right. Let me move on to the ANC 2G quarterly financial report that has to be submitted tomorrow for fiscal year 2024 quarter four. You remember on, let me just go through it and then I'll give you the correlation. We carried a balance forward of $6,138.29. During the quarter, we received one allotment of $4,011.43. Then we had the deposits for the 501 New York Avenue project totaling $3,324. Okay. So the total amount of money we had on hand was $7,335.43. We had expenditures in the amount of $3,897.86. They were for all the checks that were written. So anyway, the expenses of the $3,897.86 from the $13,473.72 brings us back to our carryover balance from the monthly report, $9,575.86 going into the first quarter of 25. But we got checks going back and forth. Okay. And since the end of September, we have written checks, but they're not in here because we didn't get money until October. And this closed in September. This is an accounting thing. You know how you write your checks. So it correlates directly with the monthly report. We are on spot. So any questions?
No, good job.
Okay. And no more questions? Okay, I basically moved that ANC 2G approve the ANC 2G quarterly financial report for fiscal year 24, quarter four, as stated.
Seconded.
Alex seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Watkins?
She's on mute.
Ms. Watkins? Come off mute, Ms. Watkins.
Sharonda. Ms.
All right, so-
Watkins? Is that 5150?
I mean, she's there.
It's an abstention. Let's keep moving.
It's an abstention. Okay, so.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, there you go. How do you vote, Ms. Watkins?
Oh, 510, yeah. Yeah, aye, yes.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, Rochelle, I'll be
Okay.
later. I'll be there later to get you to sign these things.
Sounds good.
Okay, one more thing. Going back to the quarter report. Like I mentioned earlier, there were so many changes in the system. We've already submitted 1, 2, and 3. We had to go back and re-sign 2 and 3. They are asking me just this past week for 3 and 4. I have no comprehension about why all this double work, but I'm giving them what they want. They'll have both of those tomorrow. So anyway, only expense that we have this month is for Karen Yaley. And I moved that ANC 2G approve the payment to Karen Yaley for the incurred expense for the website maintenance and note taking for a meeting for 11/14/24 in the amount of $275.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All
Okay.
right, motion passes.
That's
All
it.
right, should I, now I'm gonna do my thing.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about, this is what we These are this is for the legal help we've already had that I'm going to submit the grants to. Let me get, there's 3 invoices. 2 of them are from Ms. Themack and one is from Mr. Baldwin. So I'm gonna start with the Donahoe, Themack, and Miller invoices that I'm gonna actually motion for that we apply for the grant. And that I'm also then gonna motion after that we sign the check so we can do it in December, right? So we just, as Tony said, we keep track of these bills. All right, the first invoice from Donahoe.
Donahoe, good.
Yeah, Donahoe, Themack, and Miller
Mhm.
is for $12,624. The second invoice from Donahoe, Themack, and Miller is $2,448. So I move that ANC 2G apply for the Expert Assistance Fund for these 2 invoices.
Seconded.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Berry, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then the next invoice is from Todd Baldwin Esquire.
Mhm.
And this for $1,350. And I move that ANC 2G apply for the Expert Assistance Fund for Mr. Todd Baldwin for the amount of $1,350.
Second.
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Aye.
you. Thank you. All right, now I'm gonna move to, so we have the checks written.
Okay.
I move that ANC 2G write check to Donahoe, Themack, and Miller PLC for $12,624 and a second check for $2,448 for the invoices for the 501 New York Avenue case.
Seconded.
Okay, Alex seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Mhm.
And then the last that I move that ANC 2G write a check to Mr. Todd Baldwin Esquire for his work, the 501 New York Avenue case for $1,350. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Alex seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. And then anything else, Tony?
That is it.
Okay, so then let me talk about what's going to happen next. So this would be what we call a part 3. And when you have the way the Office of OANC works with this Expert Assistance Fund, you have to have kind of like a new subject line, right? You can't say it's under the same, different cases, right? The first case that we had was for the appeal. The second case we had here was with the BZA against the Department of General Services. And I'm seeking your support tonight to apply for the assistance funds or support for an appeal for against the department, well, against the, let me phrase, appeal against the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision that occurred on Wednesday, and that we would take it to the Court of Appeals, appealing that decision against their for their decision that they were in favor of the Department of General Services for their special exception. And so let's have an open discussion if you guys feel comfortable with that and are in favor of that.
In favor.
Okay. And I would be the lead, okay?
In for a penny, in for a pound. We've got it taken it this far.
Yep.
We should roll the dice and we may be surprised. You know, a court may find differently after reviewing the evidence than the BZA, which basically gave no credence to our evidence.
Correct. And I would be the lead again. And then let me tell you, when I talked with our lawyer about it, 'cause I wanted to have a thorough understanding, because what did she think about it? What I think about the whole thing? And she certainly, and I've gotten to know her quite well, that she feels that we have a valid justification to move forward. Otherwise, she said, as I would not waste our money. So, right, this is about money too. So she feels that we have a valid case, and it would be actually be the way that she described it. It would be at frankly, a lighter lift compared to what I have experienced over the several months. So I'm actually kind of excited to tell you the truth. So it's a lot of her filing, and actually it might be a different lawyer in their firm. So either way, everyone okay? And that we apply for the assistance funds?
Yes.
Okay. Or going towards that. So that we do this again. And then what Tony brought up. So when I talked with the Office of ANC, so I went to them again. I said, now there would be a part 3. Are there funds for this? And they said yes. And it was interesting that they were more than happy. They said there's plenty of money, and that they are surprised that more commissions are not coming to them. So maybe they need to advertise it better. So I'm going to be very grateful that we have this funds because according to them that they have plenty of money to cover it.
Yeah, but we don't want them promoting that, because then when we go back to won't have any money for us.
Is anyone listening to the end of our meeting?
Look, at this point in time, the monies that we spent thus far for the case is $29,056, and that's excluding these things we talked about today.
And I have to be honest, when I first dealt with the lawyers, picking out the lawyers originally, that was their initial figure with us. And so we are very grateful to have Miss Themack, because she and I had an agreement from the get-go that anything that I could do, I would do. And that's why I'm a little tired. So, and then anything that she has to do, she does. So that's why we're saving money. She does not do, as far as like when I did witness prep, all that type of stuff, I did all that. So, because that would have been a tremendous amount of money. Okay, so here we go. And I thank you for the support. I move that ANC 2G do the go to the courts for what am I saying? Where are they? To the court of go to the Court of Appeals against the decision that for the Board of Zoning Adjustment that they made for the 501 New York Avenue case with the Department of General Services, and that we continued the fight against the special exception, and that we also apply for the special exception funds for the Court of Appeal.
Friendly amendment. There's a specific name for the fund. It's not the special exception fund.
Legal assistance.
Legal assistance, the expert legal assistance fund.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Alex. And I take that. A second. Alex, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Watkins?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so more to come on that. And that is a whole separate legal case. And I'm sure the district owner will be delighted with seeing and hearing from me again with all of this.
And I will, Sharonda, just checking, will you be available in about 10-15 minutes? I can come back for your signature on the quarterly report.
No, I'm going to bed.
No, please. Or I get you first thing in the morning then.
No.
Okay, so we have to do the minutes. Let's do the minutes.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions about the minutes from October?
No, I'll move that ANC 2G approve the minutes for the October meeting, subject to any corrections submitted.
Okay. Stephen seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Anything else for the order? Okay. All right, I move that our next meeting will be December 12th, and I move that we adjourn the November meeting.
Seconded.
Okay, Alex seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, have a good Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
And we're keeping up the fight.
Right.
Yeah, I am available. Are you going to really come by?
It's due tomorrow.
Yes. He's going to come by here too.
Okay, yes.
I thought you was joking, Tony.
No, I didn't mean business.
Okay, everyone, take care.
Okay, y'all have a great one. Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye. Stay safe.